Okay guys, so this is the first Q&A. I said I'll go through the questions, and I've got 10 of them picked out. Sorry if I didn't get to them all. 9 of these are from the last YouTube video, and then 1 I took off Instagram. And interestingly enough, a lot of them are about gear, which I'm not surprised about, but we'll get into everything. So starting out here, I'm gonna get right to it. Question 1, if you could go back, would you take gear again? And that's from Jay off of YouTube. So honestly guys, if I could go back in time, it's not that I wouldn't take gear again, because honestly I don't regret ever taking gear. I don't regret that part, or not being natural. I think I regret most the way I went about it. So early on in when I first started taking all this stuff, I was just very reckless. You know, you're in your younger 20s, you don't care, you just take anything. Whatever the dose, whatever the compound, whatever someone gives you, you just take it. And you're just reckless, like you don't care about your health as much. So I regret that. I regret running Tren. I regret the doses I ran, which the doses compared to what I see some guys doing now are not even that ridiculous. They weren't. But I don't regret taking stuff. I think it's given me a lot of opportunity. My social media following has grown tremendously from taking gear to some extent. Like I had it going, the basement days, all that was natural for the most part, except at the very end there. And that kind of was blowing up even before I was on gear. But I think gear's presented me with opportunities to travel the world, go to places like France on 2 occasions, and just given me a lot more opportunities. Having Mark Bell fly me out, all this stuff. So, and now I can be open about it and help people out. So I think it's nothing I regret. And somebody else kind of had a similar question building off of this one. Do you think blasting early on taught you to be more cautious about your health going forward? That is from Floppy Fish 1643. So I do think that kind of what I just talked about with being reckless and just blasting year round and taking Tren year round and stuff like that, it taught me that that's really stupid and don't do that anymore. Because like I said in the video from yesterday, I would feel terrible all the time. Like I could tell my health was off, because be sick all the time, just basically just cough all the time, have a cold all the time. I looked extremely bloated. My skin complexion was awful. I still have all these acne scars. You can't really see them that well, but this is all just scarring from acne that I had in the past. Like I don't have any anymore. You can barely see, it's kind of gone away. That's put some green stuff on. I had a little zit right there, but so acne scars, the acne was really bad. You can't tell as much, but I really don't get acne hardly at all anymore. I might get like 1 or 2 here or there, especially if I like drop my doses way lower. It'll start to come out again because your hormones are fluctuating. But it was really bad, so I'm much more careful about it now. I feel way healthier. I never get sick, and what I've learned is actually taking gear is way worse for you than eating bad, in my opinion. So you could eat crap, like nothing but processed foods, and in my opinion it's not as bad for you as blasting certain compounds, from what I've felt. Like I could eat pizza all day and sugar, and I would feel better and be in better health than if I blasted Tren. Like that's straight up how, from my experience, is what I felt. This video is going to be way too long if I don't hurry up. So number 2, when you hit the supplements hard going into the next meet, or when you hit the supplements hard going into the next meet, what are your goal numbers? That's from Damian Arvidsson. And I'm not going to hit the supplements hard per se. Like what you guys got to understand is my blast is still a fraction of what I used to blast. And I don't run any androgenic compounds. Every compound I run is anabolic only. Very low androgenic ratings. Test obviously is one of them. You know I love Anavar. I think Anavar is the greatest. And then there's one other one, but I don't push it that hard. Like it's way slower than ever before, because my body can get more out of less, which is what I've been trying to do all along. So I stay healthier, obviously. But my goal numbers, I'm not really going to say for the meet. The meet's in 14 weeks, but my goal numbers in training, I want to squat 727 high bar in knee sleeves. I want to bench 485 again. That's the most I've ever done in training. If I could get back to that. Bench is really the struggle. Right now it's weak as heck for being off. And then deadlift, I want to pull 927, which is 8 reds per side, 8 red kilo plates. I think it's like 420 something, 420, 425 kilos, something like that. So those are the goals going into the meet. Third question. He is a good man, referencing Jordan Peterson. Have you read his book, 12 Rules for Life? This is from my client, Wilhelm Kron. I hope I said that right. And the Jordan Peterson thing started a complete crazy thing yesterday. I don't get into politics, guys. I don't know what the political issues are with him. I just think some of the stuff he says is legit. So I don't have political feelings. I really don't care about politics, but let's not get into that. So to answer the question, I've not read his book, but I do agree with some of the things he said, like if you get too high on your horse, the downfall is coming, be humble. That's basically what the message was. Wasn't trying to start problems. Number 4, do you ever plan on going completely natty? And what is the greatest sacrifice you've made for powerlifting? This is from HSPWR, horsepower, I presume, is his name. Completely natty, I probably would if I were to try to have a child. And even that was going to be difficult, but there's things like HCG, HMG that can make that possible. So under those circumstances, which I wouldn't mind having a child at some point. I would do that. I would go off. The problem is if I go off completely, my natural levels will be like 100 to 200, which is even worse than natural. So that's why I just go super low and keep it at 125. And I'm going to get blood work done tomorrow. We'll see where the levels are at on that, on HRT. The greatest sacrifice is definitely taking gear. Gear is not good for your health, as I've just referenced in previous questions. So that's definitely the greatest sacrifice I've made. If I could do it again, I'd be a lot smarter about it. I don't know what the damage I've done so far, but I'm trying to take a much better, more even keel approach. Okay, how do you wrap your wrist wraps? This is from Refugio Reyes. So I got my wrist wraps right here. I'm just going to show this real quick. I'm just going to do one side, obviously. These are slingshot gangster wraps. Been using these for the last like 5-6 years. Love them. So what I do, I take the thumb loop. I don't loop it around my thumb. I just grab it in between my fingers like this and hold on to it. And then I start with a pretty high wrap. So I try to get it like right below the base of the knuckles with my wrap. And then I just start looping it down. I go down about 3 revolutions. So that's 3 revolutions. I got a high wrap. Biggest mistake people make in wrapping the wrist is going too low with the wrap. And then I'm going to start working back up. So I get a lot of tension into it. Go back up. That's a really tight wrap right there. So I try to make it so the wrist can't bend back much. If people go down here with the wrap, the wrist will buckle back. That's not what you want. So the biggest mistake a lot of you guys are making is wrapping too low. Start as high up with the wrap as possible. His second question is, why aren't you doing Boss of Bosses this year? So the main reason I wasn't doing Boss of Bosses, I've done it for the last 3 years, is to save money, because traveling and all that costs money out to California for flight and everything. So really, honestly, the only traveling I want to do anymore is going to Hawaii once a year. So once a year we go to Maui, and that's what I save my money for as far as trips. Like I don't want to do a whole lot of other trips because I try to just put my money into that, and that's going to be actually the week after the meet, going to Maui. So that's one of the reasons. And then I didn't find out till recently, the meet at our gym that I'm doing on August 31st is actually the same day as Boss of Bosses. So Boss of Bosses is typically on my birthday weekend, August 24th, but they bumped it back a week this year. So I wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. I've got like 6 clients doing the meet with me. So it wouldn't have worked out, but I'd rather do a meet in front of the home crowd anyway at this point and save some money traveling. Number 6, could a collaboration with Brian Alrushe be possible in the near future? This is from Jay Wright. I know who that is. Alright, so the video cut off, so we're back. Number 6, could a collaboration with Brian Alrushe be possible in the near future? From Jay Wright. Honestly, I respect that guy a lot, but he lives in Maryland, so that's probably not as likely. Honestly, the one that's way more likely, even though he's kind of blown up now, I don't know if he's too big for for me now. I don't know if I'd be a good choice, but Juji Mufu, he's in Charlotte, which is like 3 hours 45 minutes away. That one's possible. We've talked about collaborating in the past, so we'll see. Number 7, why'd you widen your stance on deadlifts? And revert back to your old bench form, from Elliot Lim. Deadlifts felt a little more comfortable once I widened my stance like an inch. So I used to go really narrow to give room to engage my lats, but it feels a little more stable with them a little wider. I still don't like having them too wide. I prefer a more narrow stance, but I definitely widen it out a bit and it feels more comfortable. Feels better. Same with bench. With bench, when I brought my feet back and was benching on the balls of my feet, I could get a bigger arch, but I was getting way less leg drive than with my legs in front of me and my feet flat. So to me, that feels a lot better. It feels a lot more natural. I get more leg drive, and my bar path is more consistent. So it's kind of a trade-off. Like, I don't get as much of an arch, but I get way more leg drive. Number 8, what workout gear do you recommend, specifically a belt and elbow sleeves or anything else you might think is important? That's from Doc. Workout gear, definitely have a belt, partially to like prevent yourself from having any disc issues, which they still could happen, but you're in a safer position with a belt and bracing against that. Belt is number 1. I prefer a leather belt because you can get it tighter, 13 millimeter. Elbow sleeves, if you have elbow pain, it's not a bad idea, but I don't think they're necessary. Just take care of your elbows, which I unfortunately haven't done with my left one, but it's getting better. I would say the second biggest thing is wrist wraps. Wrist wraps are key when you're going heavy on bench. If you have a bent bar, the bar can still roll on you, you can drop it, but if the bar is not jacked up from people dropping it on the squat rack, the squat pins, wrist wraps will keep you in a safer position and keep your wrist from giving out and having a bad incident happen on bench. Third thing, knee sleeves. Knee sleeves would be 3. Just keeps the knees protected. They definitely feel better with knee sleeves. So those are the big 3: belt, wrist wraps, knee sleeves. Number 9, have you ever heard of David Goggins or read his book? That's from my old client, John Kuhneman. Shout out to him. He won by knockout in his first amateur MMA fight. Check that out on his Instagram. Freaking sick. Looked like he killed the guy. Ridiculous power this guy's got. And he's really young. He's like 20 years old. I've definitely heard of David Goggins. I heard of him about 10, 12 years ago. No, not 12 years, but over 10 years ago, before this guy was even big. I was actually into ultra running at the time. I tried doing an ultra marathon. I made it like halfway because I didn't train for it and I weighed 200 pounds. But I did a marathon when I was 15, and so I was big into ultra running. Dave Goggins was like this super jacked guy to me at the time. Really looked up to him, and I was just, everything he would put out, articles, everything, like I was following this guy when he was doing all the ultras. And obviously I have his book, actually read it in about a week. I'm going to go to one of his public speaking engagements in Nashville in November, because he lives in Nashville now, so he's actually not too far from me. But he's so big time now, I think it'd be pretty hard to get in contact with him or anything like that. But I was following that guy way before anyone else knew about him, like when he was just in the underground ultra scene, and when I was kind of into the ultra marathon running stuff. So that's pretty cool to see him now just blowing up. Last question, will you ever take Tren again? No. Honestly, Tren is everything I know about what it does to your health, how bad it is on your heart, the side effects, the paranoia, the irritability. You can see it in my Truth About Tren video. I made that like 6-7 years ago, and everything I said in it I still stand by, because I've seen so many people go downhill on Tren, just messing with their heads, making them crazy, making them aggressive, angry, blows up your relationships. Like, stuff is a ticking time bomb. Tren Ace more so than Tren Endate, but it's not good, man. There's much better options, and I just don't want to take really harsh things anymore, even though it obviously comes with the best strength gains and everybody in powerlifting runs it. So it's kind of a trade-off, but I really am trying to like look more into health now, because I'm going to be 28 in August, and it's like I'm not all about let's just get as strong as possible at whatever cost anymore. Second question, this is from Curtis Bona. Will you ever go down a weight class? Probably not. I'm really freaking lean already at like 245, so I feel like I would have to like do a death cut to make 220. The lowest I got on a cut was 229, and I was suffering, man. I was about to pass out. It was so bad. I cut 22 pounds before a meet in a week and got to 229, and I felt horrible. and that was really the cutoff. Like, I could maybe make 225, but I think I'd have to start cutting limbs off if I want to go 220. But that's the video, guys. Subscribe. Please give it an upvote. Subscribing is huge. I'm trying to grow the channel. Check out my Instagram, because everything I post on YouTube, I pretty much post on Instagram first, and you're going to see it on there like a day earlier. So I'll put the link to that in the description. Appreciate the support. We'll keep these Q&As coming. I'm out.